Leader Steve Scalise. Well, thank you, Whip. As you can see, we have three different committees that are relentlessly working to get the facts out about this investigation that's been ongoing for months. The one thing that you can see as a steady, consistent theme, where it started with Jamie Comer's committee, Jim Jordan's committee, ultimately Jason Smith's committee, is that every step of the way, they've been consistently going after the facts to try to find out exactly what happened with all of these web companies, these shell companies, that whistleblowers were coming forward saying it wasn't just about Hunter Biden, that ultimately money was going into Joe Biden's checking account. What you saw at the White House over and over again was a constant changing of the story. The White House has changed its story multiple times as the facts have emerged over and over again, and different. If you look at some of these poster boards, you see checks, you see more facts that continue to be released. And as more facts come out, the White House continues to try to change their tune to cover up what really happened. As Jamie Comer talked about, tens of thousands of pages of alias information still at the White House that they won't turn over to Congress. What are they trying to hide at the White House? Why won't the White House fully comply? So we're going to be relentless at continuing to get the facts, all three committees working through this impeachment inquiry to ultimately get the facts out and find out where all this money was coming from, foreign countries, ultimately into the pockets of various members of the Biden family to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. So this will not slow down. And in the meantime, the House will continue to do its work here. As the Whip talked about today, we start a process of moving a few bills on the floor this week. Tomorrow, we're going to actually have a vote on that Iran bill. $6 billion Joe Biden negotiated to give to Iran. Now, let's think about what happens here. This was negotiated prior to Hamas invading Israel, murdering Israelis, taking hostages. We see a ceasefire right now as more hostages hopefully get released. But in the meantime, Hamas still holds hostages. Where does Hamas get their funding? They get their funding from Iran. Everybody knows that. The Biden administration knows it, yet the Biden administration opposes this legislation because they want the Ayatollah in Iran to get that $6 billion. Why would Joe Biden want the Ayatollah to have access to $6 billion knowing it goes to fund Hamas and other terrorism? We're going to be taking a strong stand to freeze that money tomorrow. That will be a vote on the House floor. We also say, as more illegals pour into our country, millions more illegals come into our country, they're using federal lands in the Biden administration to house illegals. They're waiving environmental regulations that military veterans can't use, homeless veterans cannot use today, but they'll waive every environmental regulation to allow people coming here illegally to use those very same federal lands. And we're saying you can't use those federal lands to house illegals. That vote will be on the House floor tomorrow as well. So the House is going to continue to do its work as we relentlessly pursue the facts in this case. And leading that effort is our Speaker, Mike Johnson.